most people feel drained before the day even begins. Not because life is hard, but because their minds are too loud. Today's story is about staying calm when everything around you feels chaotic. There is a very small moment in the workday that almost no one notices. It happens in the middle of ordinary things. A notification popping up, a short line on Slack, an email with your boss CC'd, a half-joking comment in a Zoom meeting. No explosion, no obvious drama, just a second, when you feel heat rising in your chest. And in that second, your body has already decided for you. You hear yourself thinking, I have to reply immediately. I can't let them think I'm weak. If I don't react, they'll walk over me. A workday doesn't collapse because you don't know how to work. It collapses because you get pulled away from yourself in a very small moment. I used to think reacting quickly was a strength. I believed that competent people were those who replied instantly, always had an answer, always stayed on, as if speed were proof that you care, proof that you're in control, proof that you're not passive. But then I noticed a more uncomfortable truth. In workplace environments, especially in places that are always on, speed is sometimes just fear in disguise. You can call it KPI pressure, OKRs, deadlines, performance reviews, but underneath, it is still something very old. The fear of being judged, the fear of being excluded, the fear of losing your position. And when the human brain feels threatened, it doesn't care whether you're in an office or in the wild. It just wants to survive. So you find yourself doing things that, later on, you don't even recognize as yourself. You type long paragraphs to clarify, but really you are defending yourself. You hit reply all as a way to pull others to your side. You make a sarcastic remark in a meeting just to regain a sense of control. You accept more tasks, agree to more deadlines, not because you agree, but because you're afraid of not being liked. And then the whole day becomes a chain of reactions, one after another, exhausting, heavy. Your mind has no space left to think. There's an afternoon I still remember clearly, not because it was dramatic, but because it was so ordinary. That day I was already exhausted. Little sleep, coffee instead of breakfast, a schedule packed with meetings and 6-minute gaps in between to breathe and answer messages. You probably know that kind of day, your mind always running in the background. Then an email arrived. It wasn't rude, it was polite. Just one sentence. Can you clarify why this wasn't done? But what bothered me was the CC line. Someone I wanted to impress was included, and when I saw their name, I felt like I had been pushed onto a stage. My heart started racing. My hands went to the keyboard. In my head was a speech. Because the other team was late. Because the scope changed. Because I wasn't supported. A pile of right and wrong, a pile of reasons. I started typing, and strangely, the more I typed, the more I felt myself sinking. The more I explained, the more tense I became. The more I tried to win in that email, the more I felt I was losing face in my own eyes. I stopped. Just for a second. I looked at what I had written, and I realized, if I send this, I am not solving work. I am discharging my nervous system. I didn't want my response to come from a system on alarm. So I did something very small. One correct move in a very practical sense. I didn't send it. I saved the draft. I stood up, walked away from the desk, poured some water, looked out the window, not to meditate or become enlightened, just to give my body a chance to cool down. less than 2 minutes. When I came back, I read their email as if it had been sent to someone else, and I saw what I hadn't seen before. They were not attacking me. They lacked information. They were worried about the deadline. They were doing their job. So I deleted almost everything. I replied in 3 sentences. Thanks for checking. The dependency from X came in on Tuesday, so we started Wednesday. I can deliver the updated version by 3 p.m. today. I'll post an update in the channel. Short, clear. No defensiveness, no sarcasm, no need for anyone to take my side. The strange thing was, after sending it, I didn't feel victorious. I felt light. And that day did not turn into a bad day. Not because everything suddenly became easy, but because I didn't pour gasoline on it. That's the point many people miss. Calmness is not a personality trait. It is a small decision repeated many times, and sometimes just one right decision is enough to save an entire afternoon. You don't need to become someone who never gets angry. You just need one moment right before you react to ask yourself one honest question. Is what I'm about to do meant to solve the problem, or to relieve the feeling of being triggered? Because those two things look very similar, but lead to completely different outcomes. In toxic environments, the game is often not about the work. It's about pulling you into emotion. When you get triggered, you speak more than necessary. You over-explain. You become defensive and reveal your weak points. You spend energy trying to prove you're right, when what you really need is to remain clear-headed. There is a very quiet form of power in the workplace, the power of the person who is not pulled along. This person is not cold, not suppressing themselves. They simply understand one thing. Emotions are signals, not commands. They can feel annoyed, disappointed, disrespected. But they do not let those feelings guide their fingers on the keyboard. You will see them doing things that look very small, but have a big impact. They reply one beat slower, so their words carry no poison. They ask a question instead of making an accusation. They choose a 5-minute call instead of writing 20 lines that can be misunderstood. They dare to say, I need to double-check before confirming. They dare to say, I understand the urgency, but I can't promise before I'm sure. These sentences don't sound powerful like in movies, but in real life, they are strength. Because they say, I will not trade my clarity for someone else's temporary comfort. And if you tend to overthink, you know the biggest trap. You think you're preparing, but you're actually torturing yourself. You replay conversations in your head. You imagine every possible reaction. You write an email and read it 10 times. You change the tone, the punctuation, swap just for actually, as if one word could secure your safety. But sometimes, one correct move is not the perfect sentence. It is choosing not to add more. No more words, no more explanations, no more defensiveness, no more arguments you don't need to win. A correct move is sometimes closing your laptop for 60 seconds, reminding your nervous system, I'm okay. This is not real danger. This is work. You are not weak when you stay calm. You are doing something harder, choosing conscious response in a world that worships reflex. This world rewards the loud, but long-term work rewards the clear. Because clarity builds trust. Clarity creates predictability. Clarity makes others feel safe working with you. And you will be surprised to see, much of workplace toxicity cannot withstand someone who communicates clearly and calmly. It has nothing to latch onto. It cannot find an emotional gap to hook into. If today you are walking into a day when you are already tired, remember, you don't have to win every moment. You only have to win the most important one, the moment right before you react. If a message makes you heat up, you're not obligated to reply immediately. If a comment makes you feel disrespected, you are not obligated to prove yourself immediately. If a situation makes you want to explode, you are not obligated to let that emotion take the wheel. You have the right to choose calmness. And the beautiful part is, one correct choice doesn't just save that conversation. It saves the rest of your energy for the day. It keeps your evening from being consumed by an argument in your head. It allows you to remain yourself when you leave the office. You can't always control the environment. Some places are truly difficult. Some people are truly toxic. But there is still one thing you can protect if you remember at the right time. You can protect your right to decide who you will be in this moment. And sometimes, just one correct move like that is enough to keep today from becoming a day you need a whole week to recover from. Calm people do not win because they are smarter. They win because they do not lose their strength. If you are learning how to stay calm in a noisy world, this video is for you. Don't forget to subscribe and follow the channel. We will meet again in the next stories. Thank you for spending your time listening and allowing me to be with you for the past few minutes. Rest well. Tomorrow is a new day. I wish you peace and happiness.